Drug war cases reviewed by the Justice Department, police have the same narrative on the killings. The suspects resisted or nanlaban. But the agency observed that in at least 9 cases, victims tested negative for gunpowder nitrates. In 30 others, not a single record of paraffin or ballistic test, autopsy result, or death certificate. The DOJ observed excessive use of force that resulted in the deaths of drug suspects. Some bore multiple gunshot wounds, including 1 victim with 15 gunshot wounds. 7 were shot at close range. The PNP's Internal Affairs Service found no proof of violent resistance on the part of suspects in some cases. How were the cops punished? In 35 cases, they were just suspended. Only a few were dismissed. Malacanang says the DOJ report shows President Duterte was not responsible for alleged abuses and lapses in the drug war.
On the contrary, it proves that the Philippine state has in fact investigated and prosecuted individuals for these extrajudicial killings.
The International Criminal Court's pre-trial chamber sees otherwise. The president has publicly encouraged extrajudicial killings. President Duterte vowed he won't cooperate with the ICC investigation on his bloody drug war. PNP Chief General Guillermo Eleazar urges families of victims to cooperate.
Ito rin ang pagkakataon para sa mga pamilya ng nasawi dito sa mga pulis sa anti-illegal drugs operation para sila ay makapagsumite ng complaint affidavit o kaya'y magharap ng testigo upang maisampa ang kaukulang kasong kriminal sa korte.
The National Bureau of Investigation is now tasked to build the cases as the Justice Department appeals to witnesses to come forward and hold erring cops accountable. Drug war critics say the DOJ revelation is just the tip of the iceberg. Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara declared before a UN body that it's quietly reviewing more than 5,000 drug war deaths, but it has so far looked into less than 400 cases. For the Free Legal Assistance Group, the initiative is grossly insufficient, and its challenge to the DOJ: bring these cases to court. Anjali Mario, CNN Philippines.
The president's first police chief from June 2016 to early 2019, now Senator Bato de la Rosa, was the brains behind Oplan Tokhang, although de la Rosa time and again took pains to explain that the Visayan word Tokhang meant to knock and plead. It had come to be associated with killings, police shooting suspects they claimed had fought back or nanlaban in the vernacular, just as Anja had said. Now, this could not have come at a worse time with all this talk about an international criminal court probe that claims it will make Mr. Duterte accountable. De la Rosa had said on the show a week ago he would face the probe. He has changed his tune since then. The expanded alert level system outside Metro Manila begins today as the government modifies its vaccination strategy in hopes of a better Christmas. Officials say they will work closely with local governments to vaccinate 50% of the total eligible population by December. To achieve this target, the government needs to administer 1.5 million doses of the COVID-19 vaccine every day. So far, the country's average daily inoculation is at 500,000. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez says there is enough supply of doses, but logistics are slowing down the vaccine rollout. Since most vaccines in the stockpile are Pfizer and Moderna that require ultra-cold freezers, Galvez explains they will apply the so-called just-in-time strategy.
For example, na kunyari, naka-schedule siya ng Monday, you can deliver on Sunday, and then just in time, bubuksan mo lang yung shipper box doon sa vaccination site. So it can withstand 3 to 5 days.
Galvez adds Pfizer and Moderna vaccines can be stored outside an ultra-cold freezer for 3 to 5 days, just as long as they're sealed in the shipper's box. Now, the government is gearing up to give a 3rd dose to vulnerable groups. The vaccine czar is optimistic the emergency approval for another shot will be out before the end of the month. Kylie Bonkin has the details.
A quarter of the Philippine population has been vaccinated against COVID-19, and although that's still far from the target, the government might have to soon give a 3rd dose to vaccinated individuals who might not have developed enough protection from the virus.
Barangay health worker Christopher Duque has been fully vaccinated since April. Already at the 6th month of the vaccine, he worries about getting infected again. That's why he wants a booster shot.
Kasi kami kumaharap din kami sa mga COVID patient. So kami prone din talaga kami sa virus. Kaya kailangan na rin talaga namin.
The World Health Organization has recommended an additional dose for people with compromised immune systems. Vaccine expert and infectious diseases specialist Dr. Ranjin Solante explains why.
Based on the data, they did not mount a very good immune response, or this population will get COVID, then they have a higher risk that they will also develop severe and critical, unlike the general population.
But this is separate from a booster shot for the rest of the population who got enough protection after completing the required doses.
Booster shot can be or cannot be given if you just want to make that protection maintained after several months, like 6 months or 8 months. Third dose kasi, ideally, it should be given 1 month after the second dose.
The vaccine experts panel has recommended boosters in August, citing studies on several vaccine brands waning protection at about 6 months. The health department has yet to finalize when will the additional doses be given, which brands, and at what interval. But one thing's clear, the Vaccine Operations Center chief says not all people under the A3 category will be prioritized for an extra dose. Their recommendation, selected immunocompromised should get it first.
Sabihin, may mga cancer, may mga HIV, may specific diseases yan.
This may also include senior citizens and health workers directly caring for COVID patients, while the rest might get their booster shots by next year. But the government cannot give extra doses until the WHO completes its recommendation, and vaccine manufacturers have secured a new emergency use authorization for a third or booster shot.
By early November, as soon as mag-announce na pwede na magbigay, we start to immunocompromised and healthcare workers.
This means Christopher still has to wait before getting a boost on his protection against COVID. Caroline Bongkin, CNN Philippines.
The country's COVID-19 cases continue to decline. The health department reported over 3,600 new infections today, the lowest since July. The DOH also reporting only 5 new fatalities and 228 recoveries. The DOH saying these low numbers have to do with some issues in the COVID Kaya system. Now, 2 officials of controversial medical supplier Pharmaly appear to be in hiding. Pharmaly has been at the center of a Senate probe after bagging billions of pesos in supposedly questionable government deals. The Blue Ribbon Committee earlier ordered executives and siblings Mohit and Twinkle Dargani detained at the Senate for refusing to submit documents subpoenaed by lawmakers. In a text message to CNN Philippines, retired Major General Rene Samonte says Senate security personnel went to 3 condominium units in Taguig and San Juan. The condominium staff confirmed these were owned by the Darganis, but they were not there. Another Pharmaly official, Lincoln Ong, has been detained at the Senate for over a month now for allegedly lying during the hearings. Ong's lawyer says the Senate has no legal authority to arrest his client and the Darganis outside Senate premises.
Any attempt by the Senate Sergeant at Arms to arrest Mr. Dargani may subject him to criminal liability, including serious illegal detention, which is non-bailable. Any senator ordering him to arrest Mr. Dargani, and if he is arrested, may be liable for the same offense, because Mr. Dargani is outside of the jurisdiction of the Senate.
Senate President Tito Soto says Senate security can take the Darganis into custody as long as, quote, they are within the jurisdiction of the Philippines, unquote. We have more stories ahead on Newsnight. Transport group supposedly backpedaling over a petition to increase fares amid surging prices at the pump. And a Korean actor known for his memorable good boy character caught in a scandal. Kim Son-ho breaking his silence. Next, keep it here on CNN Philippines.
sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Quincentenary Faith Rewind.
Ferdinand Magellan died in the hands of Dato Lapu-Lapu in the Battle of Mactan. Spanish navigator Juan Sebastian Elcano took command of the voyage, which finally reached the Spice Islands. To date, the expedition is also known as Magellan-Elcano Expedition.
KBP marks 500 years of Christianity and this station.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
With government agencies and transport leaders who earlier asked to increase the minimum fare from 9 to 12 pesos. Regulators were not keen on the proposal, saying it will be an added burden for commuters. But Sarmiento says the Energy and Transportation Departments will study cash aid grants for public utility vehicle operators. He adds the House will tackle a long-term solution to the oil price hikes when sessions resume next month.
May release na agad na binanggit kanina ang Department of Energy at ang Department of Transportation na pumabor naman ang hanay ng jeepney and they will be putting on hold muna yung increase. That's the bottom line. Not about sila na may masaya sa napag-usapan kanina at wari ko naman we can right away implement yung tulong ng Department of Energy at yung plano naman ng Department of Transportation.
Transport groups also call for the suspension of the value-added tax on petroleum products. They say putting the 12% VAT on hold will provide relief to drivers and commuters. Drivers also asked for concrete solutions from the government if fare increases are not approved. A lawmaker wants more public transport drivers in the government service contracting program. Senator Risa Ontiveros believes this is the win-win solution for both commuters and drivers to keep fares affordable amid consecutive oil price hikes. Ontiveros also urged regulators to obligate unreleased funds worth 3 billion pesos under the service contracting and Libreng Sakay programs. She says the government can use the money to employ more drivers and shoulder expenses on fuel to avoid a fare increase for now. Well, the logistics industry is also on its toes because of the rising fuel costs, and the domino effect is impacting consumers. Our senior correspondent Lois Calderon has that story.
Grounded for 4 months at the height of the pandemic, freight transporter Herna Baluyot Santos' 40 trucks are back on the road. The relaxed COVID-19 restrictions are revving up her business closer to pre-pandemic level. But the recovery is short-lived as successive hikes in pump prices send her business back to break-even.
Paano ba kayo nalulugi ngayong 50 pesos na ang diesel?
Tulad ng unit namin na to na dating 5 biyahe ang gagawa, nagiging 3 na lang. So napakalaking impact sa amin ang pagtaas ng presyo ng diesel.
Santos avoids long-term contracts so she can easily adjust to sudden fuel price swings. Diesel accounts for more than half of operating costs, so those in the logistics business have no choice but pass that on to customers. From the pump to trucks to factories to the consumer, high fuel prices have a domino effect. What's the best deal?
Hindi ko alam kung pangarap na lang ulit na maibalik natin sa presyo na let's say 40, 42, okay pa siguro yun.
But the Energy Department's hands are tied when it comes to fuel prices because of the Oil Deregulation Act that's over 20 years old.
This time, it's more on market forces. As far as DOE is concerned, wino-work out pa lang yung petition ng transport sa LTFRB. Sa tax or whatsoever on kasi it's a fiscal measures.
The government may provide some tax relief on the sale of oil. But Fish Research Unit says the Duterte government has little room to dodge tax.
The amount of wiggle room for the government on the fiscal side is fairly limited. Wiggle room, as I mentioned it, for delaying taxes or subsidies is fairly limited. The pandemic threat will likely take up any excess resources from the government.
Fitch expects oil prices to remain high this year before settling lower in 2022. Until then, consumers will just have to shell out more. Lois Calderon, CNN Philippines.
3 presidential aspirants are unfazed by a possible tandem between fellow hopeful Bongbong Marcos and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte in next year's elections. I spoke to the representatives of Senators Ping Lacson and Manny Pacquiao and Manila Mayor Isko Moreno on politics as usual, each of them expressing confidence about their campaign, saying they are not worried about the potential or possible team-up.
We believe that we are not only a strong, that we only don't have a strong tandem, we also have we're running a smart campaign, which means that it shouldn't matter who Senator Lacson and Senator Soto are running against, but at the same time, we're also open to making calibrations or adjustments as we go along.
Para sa amin, bahala na sila, no? Kung gusto nila magsama, gusto nilang kumandidato si BBM o gusto kumandidato ni Sara Duterte, no, that's their privilege and that's their right, no? Okay lang, no? So laban-laban na lamang.
He is running on his strength, on his platform. He knows what he wants to do, and if elected, he knows where to go and what to do. So he doesn't really care who is going to run against him or whether this candidate or that candidate will go in a tandem.
Bongbong, the son and namesake of the late dictator Ferdinand Marcos, previously said that, quote, everything is possible in a possible tandem with the presidential daughter, who is gunning for a 3rd term as Davao City Mayor. Catch the full interview on the replay of Politics as Usual at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday. A leading American logistics firm is returning to the Philippines after a little over a decade-long absence. FedEx, which left its regional hub in Subic in Olongapo in 2009, constructed a brand new 17,000 square meter facility in Clark in Angeles, Pampanga. Now, that facility boasting of a state-of-the-art technology that increases sorting capabilities and has dedicated areas for large heavyweight freight. There are also cold storage facilities capable of shipping and storing sensitive cargo like vaccines. The entire facility's cost $30 million or 1.5 billion pesos. The return of FedEx is expected to generate 800 jobs in Clark alone. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, a popular Korean actor is in the spotlight after apologizing for a controversy. And what are the odds an American street performer spots John Legend in the crowd while singing his hit single? Details next.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Quincentenary Faith Rewind.
The image of Santo Niño may have come from Michelin Flanders, now part of Belgium. There are surviving images that resemble the one in Cebu from 16th century Flanders. King Charles I of Spain grew in Flanders and must have obtained and given images of the Santo Niño for the expedition.
KBP marks 500 years of Christianity and this station.
Mahigalan namong suking tigpaminaw, maayong adlaw kaninyong tanan. Ang DX Kini EM Station RPN Management Dipolog City magpahigayon og libreng panag-inambitay sa pulong sa Ginoo. Gayalogo sa kamaturan. Among giawag tanang magawali sa naglain-laing relihiyon sa pagtambong ning maong programa. Gayalogo sa kamaturan. Aron mapabati sa tanang katawhan ang inyong matag baruganan, sumala sa kamaturan alang sa hingpit nga kaluwasan ug kinabuhing walay katapusan. Dialogo sa kamaturan.
Ang dialogo sa kamaturan ninyong mabati matag alas 3 ngadto sa alas 5 sa hapon adlong Domingo.
Welcome back to CNN Philippines. The COVID-plagued PBA season is nearing its end, with the first of a projected 7 games to be played today by Magnolia and TNT in a finals match in Bacolor, Pampanga. Game 1 was off to a thrilling start some 20 minutes ago, with TNT leading 15-6. The game is in the first quarter. It is a best-of-7 fight between Coach Shot Reyes for TNT and Coach Chito Victolero for Magnolia. Two of the country's biggest businessmen, Manny Pangilinan and Ramon Ang, own the teams. The season was moved midway to Pampanga when Metro Manila went into lockdown 2 months ago because of the Delta variant surge. But COVID still took its toll, and some of the teams and critics laid the blame on the semi-bubble setup. TNT, Meralco, and Barangay Ginebra are just some of the teams with players that tested positive for COVID, and they had to go into isolation. That situation would sometimes lead to the entire team getting quarantined for a week or 2. We'll update the latest scores here later on CNN Philippines. Now, with the PBA wrapping up, all eyes now turning to college athletics. The Commission on Higher Education starting to vaccinate student athletes under the UAAP today. Vaccine czar Carlito Galvez hopes all student athletes in Metro Manila will get their first dose before the end of October. Ceremonial vaccination of athletes from colleges under the NCAA starting next week. COVID brought both leagues to a screeching halt. The men's basketball finals for the UAAP last played, for example, in November 2019. The Ateneo Blue Eagles won their 3rd championship that time in an aborted season 82. But the UAAP targeting to open the next season for men's basketball in February and women's volleyball in April 2022. With this, coaches are hoping that guidelines for the training of athletes will be released soon.
Kailangan talaga magsimula na yung natin, yung ating mga practices, kasi alam niyo mga athletes kailangan talaga pagka hindi nakapag-workout yan, parang tumataba na tayo ng konti eh. So ang namin, we will support everything that we can support sa IATF at sa NTF, na talagang mabakunahan lahat ang mga players natin, mga staff, mga coaches, at saka yung mga support personnel.
Once approved, UAAP President Emmanuel Calanog said they are hoping to get the athletes into the bubble and begin training by November 1. A Korean drama that has taken Netflix Philippines by storm is now literally in the eye of a storm of a different kind. The lead star in the hit series Hometown, Cha Cha Cha, publicly apologizing after controversy about forcing abortion on his ex-girlfriend. In the statement, Kim Son-ho did not directly address the abortion claims, but he talked about what he said were his selfish actions towards his old flame. At first, the actor's fans defended him by making the hashtag Protect Kim Son-ho trend, but the apology released today got mixed reactions online. The actor has since lost a number of sponsorships and is leaving one of his shows 2 days, 1 night. And also going viral after many singles over the years, K-pop sensation CL is finally giving fans her much-awaited album. Alpha, composed of 11 tracks, is the artist's first album since her group 2NE1 disbanded in 2016. Netizens quick to praise the release with hashtag CL is the Alpha entering Twitter trends. The music video for one of the songs, Taya Cherry, also dropped earlier today. And in the United States, a legendary singer pops up in Boston, Massachusetts to watch a Lucky Street performer's rendition of his smash hit. CNN's Jeannie Mose gives us a look.
A street performer in Boston was crooning All of Me when suddenly she got all of him. John Legend loves all of you. The man whose song she was singing was standing right before her eyes, though at first
I saw a man with a trench coat and a mask step forward. I thought to myself, that looks quite like John Legend, but that couldn't be him.
But then he took his mask off.
I was absolutely stunned.
In town for a concert, Legend was outside Faneuil Hall with his wife Chrissy and his kids, watching part-time singer Radha Rao perform Legend's song, never dreaming he'd be there.
It's definitely a fan favorite, and it's a song I feel so emotional about.
She said her mind went blank, she was nervous, but she kept singing as he nodded encouragement. Anyone who watches The Voice might expect him to wheel around any moment, but when Radha finished,
Give it up for Mr. Legend, John Legend. That's a surprise.
Legend reached in his pocket for his wallet, walked over to Radha and gave her a tip and a hug, telling her the song was beautiful. But how much of his all did he give? Could she tell us how big a tip?
I would love to, but I actually don't know.
She just put it in her tip box and continued her set. But the one thing she does know...
I did give it my all.
Jeannie Mose, CNN, New York.
And before we go, a sneak peek at a film about a comedy pioneer and the star of Halloween Kills says just wait till the next movie. Here's CNN's David Daniel with the Hollywood Minute.
Roll sound. Let's do our show.
I get paid a fortune to do exactly what I love doing.
They got their money's worth. Pictures up.
I work side by side with my husband, who is genuinely impressed by me. And all I have to do to keep it is kill for 36 weeks in a row.
The first teaser is out for the I Love Lucy movie, Being the Ricardos, with Javier Bardem as Desi Arnaz and Nicole Kidman as Lucille Ball, including a brief shot of the iconic grape stomping scene. Being the Ricardos, written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, debuts in theaters on December 10th and on Amazon Prime Video December 21st.
A man couldn't have survived that fire.
Michael Myers is still on the rampage, helping Halloween Kills fill theaters with fans of the franchise. And if you thought this movie was scary, star Jamie Lee Curtis says just wait until the follow-up, Halloween Ends.
The last shot of the Halloween Ends movie is going to make people go insane.
Curtis and Michael Myers return in Halloween Ends, due out next October. In Hollywood, I'm David Daniel.
We have 66 days before Christmas, and that is it for now. Join me again on news.ph at 7 p.m. I'm Pia Ontiveros for Newsnight, where we go above and beyond the headlines.
Kini ang RPN Dex Kini Radio Runda 1053 kHz.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, ano? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Honorable Angel Halusos Carrion, Batanon, Buutan ug Malagaron, City Councilor of the Pitan City, Chairman, Committee on Tourism, Committee on Labor, Committee on Child Welfare and Development. Honorable Angel Halusos Carrion, Batanon, Buutan ug Malagaron, City Councilor of the Pitan City.
RPN Radio Philippines Network. DXKD Dipolo Radio Ronda. Member, kapisanan ng mga broadcaster ng Pilipinas.
Well, she failed to land a Senate seat in 2019. How did that experience change her perspective in the upcoming elections? Joining us now, up close and personal, Samira Gutok. Ma'am Samira, it's good to see you again. Welcome to The Source.
Yes, good morning. Assalamualaikum. Happy Monday po, Ma'am Piki.
Happy Monday to you too. So yesterday kayo nag-file pero almost inabot kayo dun sa deadline. I think you arrived in Sofitel at about 3 p.m. Pero nakapag-file na kayo parang 5:02, 2 minutes after dapat magsasara na yung official, yung filing that day. What happened?
I thought I was so ready po, Ma'am Pinky. So yung documents, yes, were there. Notarizing
took a bit of time yung ng headquarters ng aksyon with me sa team ko, paano yung moving around. So, kasi we were kind of organizing din a prayer interfaith gathering at the same time na I went po to Quiapo muna to meet a pastor and the Muslim community. So, sabay-sabay po yung ginagawa ko and I had to fill it up. So, yes, pumasok ako sa Sofitel at about 3, but I really had to kind of slowly fill it up and parang I had to replace it at time kasi yung last name and the first name nagka-interchange. So I had to wait time po, Ma'am Pinky. Na-nervous siguro.
Ninervyos kayo. This is your second try. Ang tanong ng marami siguro, Ma'am Samira, why are you with Action? Why are you running with Isko? And why aren't you running, for example, together with the likes of Attorney Chel Diokno, yung opposition noong 2019?
Ma'am Pinky, I don't even want to make kwento how my family, some of them, talagang pinuntahan ako, almost hostage na ambush me sa Marawi. Nasabi nila, ayaw namin mahirapan ka, Sam, at mag-admin ka na lang. But you know, Pinky, that many of those na kilala ko, since I was a 16-year-old activist na talagang always protesting, opposing, and questioning. And we are entering elections. Sila po yung nag-reach out to me in a time of really, really lowest. Although, syempre, deepest partnership, collaboration, and respects sa amin sa network, Liberal Party, the youth networks, One Sambayan. I was, organizing on the ground. But Action Democratico was concretely saying na you have to have decision-making powers. You're part of a board, and if you want to join us, you sign up and take an oath. So siguro, Ma'am Pinky, it's a matter of not riding in on two boats. Of course, I'm a small politician, pero alam ko po yung major principle sa atin sa politics. Wag naman po dalawang bangka, but VP Lenny, nagpaalam naman po ako through channels, and Senator Kiko, who I deem my father then, my campaign manager in the past, alam niya how deeply I owe so much of the sophisticated election process that we did, Ma'am Pinky, in the last election.
So, nauna ho kasi yung aksyon, that's how I'm seeing it, na sinasabi din sa inyo, magdesisyon na kayo. But how big of an influence is siguro Mayor Isko Moreno in you running under his ticket, under the Action Democratico ticket?
Malaki ring factor, Ma'am, in the sense that many of us in Mindanao, and I being a student activist based in Manila, alam ko po yung dynamics in Manila where most of us who are organizing para marinig ng Metro Capital Media have to go here and travel to Manila para lang marinig. And Mayor Yorme was doing some programs with us in Acubaquit through his Muslim Affairs Office. So doon po yung mga encounters namin na in a time of being stranded, in need, talaga naman pong sinasabi ng iba, political convenience. No, ma'am. At the time siguro nobody can accuse me po na at the time na kinakailangan po ng mga kababayan natin, ng mga taga Mindanao dito sa Manila, badyaw man or hindi, ng ayuda at pangangailangan. So the organization was set up, and they were very concrete in partnering with me and offering me this space in their party.
So meron ng history pala dito. That's why it was not very hard for you, I guess. Or you were somehow pushed or attracted to even support Mayor Isko. Ma'am, pagkunin ho kaya kayong guest candidate ng ibang mga partido, is this something you're open to?
Actually, ma'am, to disclose, I even asked Action if I can be a guest. And, sabi nila, no. No, not to me. So they really, siguro, I felt the sincerity na they wanted me organically, Ma'am Pinky, to them. It's like, being part of one station, di ba po? So, yes, I also sought out po, actually, alam ko naman po na, I was one of the biggest butts of trolling. At alam ko po na I wouldn't have any other chance if I wouldn't be able to reach as many as I can. And I did ask permission to other political parties or groups na would you be interested po to adopt me. And this is, Ma'am Pinky, no No PR handling me, no person handling me, nobody
lang.
controlling me. Yes, Ma'am Pinky. So, yes, you cannot, pwede yung hurt po is i-bash nyo na lang sa akin, nobody else, not my mother, not anyone else na handler. Wala pong handler si Sam. But right now, I'm very grateful po all these volunteers, lawyers, volunteers who are working with me, have been very dedicated in assisting me na let's fight.
Okay, we just need to take a very short break. We will be right back.
Every night, we take a hard look at the stories and provide you with multiple points of view from here and around the world. Now, we'll bring you more news you can use from the trading floor and the global markets, and bring you more news you can trust in business and finance. Buy, sell, hold on The Final Word, weekdays at 9 p.m. only on CNN Philippines.
You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, senatorial aspirant Samira Gutok. Ma'am, if I were to look back at 2019, and if I'm not mistaken, I think you placed 25th. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Very correct, ma'am. Very far. But third po sa Ocho Diretso Coalition.
Oh, third. Okay, so what are you going to do this time around? What have you learned? What do you plan to modify to do this time around to help you make it to the Magic 12?
Work harder, reach harder, walk farther, reach other non-supportive groups, because alam ko po na a pandemic really taught us a lot of lessons. Hurt and pain is collective for all. At siguro nararamdaman ko yon bilang a product of the biggest tragedy of this history natin sa Marawi Siege. So reach more, grassroots more, as many as we can reach po, Ma'am Pinky, and not hate more maybe. But of course, I will always be the fighter that you knew in the past. And happy World Teachers Day pala, ma'am, nakisingit na, no?
Opo, that's right. So, sabi mo nga, you're still going to be that the fighter, medyo fearless, no? Na Samira Gutok. So, let's talk about if you win, your siguro syempre you have your priorities, pero what is the one thing you would want to file, do immediately in case you make it to the Magic 12? What's the first order of business for you?
So coming from the displaced, no, yung mga taong nawalan forcibly sa kanilang mga bahay, mga buhay, kabuhayan, especially sa kwarantina, and then syempre yung trahedya ng Marawi, Zamboanga Siege, etc. I'd like to, because that is the lessons ko sa crisis, pandemic, readiness is always vital po. I would want that the displacement bill, which covers recovery plan, how to protect the vulnerable sectors, the women, and all these sectors who need the specific number one po sila sa ayuda listing, a framework that would give them protection from law, ma'am. Displaced persons bill, ma'am, is something very, very specific, ma'am, to me, to push.
Okay, and what else?
And of course, anti-discrimination, ma'am. Obvious, ma'am, ba? I am a product of a discrimination incident, no? When I was applying for a job, so alam ko po how it is for any person, LGBT man siya o hindi. So sana mga Muslims, they would understand that we are fighting for recognition of a national polity of 70 million, if not 60 million voters. At there will be things that I would really have to reach out to. Sana po hindi magtatampo ang mga katutubo na aking nire-representa.
Last question, ma'am. Do you think the 2022 elections will be a harder one for you compared to 2019?
there would be more places to cover because there are more maybe candidates. But God has His ways, Ma'am Pinky. When me and my mom survived, my family, COVID, at harder but more acceptable in a way na kakayanin because of digital accommodation. And if they're saying because COMELEC will be appointed anew by officials na bago daw next year, all from a Malacanang appointment, I won't believe that. I believe in guardianship and honoring of the democracy, and that the COMELEC is the vanguard. And thank you to them that they allowed me yesterday, despite tumagal po ako sa requirements po, ma'am. Thank you, COMELEC.
I'm sure we'll continue to hear from you, senatorial aspirant and Mindanao civic leader Samira Gutok. Thank you so much for your time, and of course, ma'am, good luck to you.
Thank you po. Thank you po.
Maraming salamat. Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.
Kini ang RPN Dex Kini Radio Ronda 1053 kHz.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, no? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Sa panahon ng pandemyang ito, mahalagang manatili tayong physically at mentally healthy. Kung ikaw ay may karamdaman ng takot, pagkabahala at pangamba, kausapin natin ang ating mga mahal sa buhay at ituon natin ang ating atensyon sa mga bagay na makatutulong sa ating kalusugan. Maaari ring sumangguni sa 1553-0917-899 usap 8727 o 027989 usap 8727. Mental health ay pangalagaan. Tara, usap tayo, kaibigan.
O, anyari sa'yo? Ba't nakasimangot ka? Alam ko na. Masakit ang katawan mo, no? Sa sobrang trabaho? O di kaya masakit ang ulo sa sobrang stress? Break ka muna. Hinga ng malalim at imasahe ang ulo mo gamit ang Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Ako rin ganun eh. Kaya pag mataas ang tensyon sa trabaho, mag-Herbalaya break ka muna.
Herbalaya Liniment Oil. Amoy na kaaya-aya. Sa bawat pahid ay ginhawa.
Dapitan City Councilor Jezebel Bing Balisado, konsihal sa Dakbayan sa Dapitan nga dali duulon og maabibihon sa iyang mga katawhan. Konsihal Bing Balisado maluluyon og matinabangon sa tanang higayon. Konsihal Bing Balisado sa Dakbayan sa Dapitan. DXKD Ronda Balita. Mga balitang may kamatuuran, way gidapigan o hilisgutanan sa katawhan. DXKD Ronda Balita. Mga labas nga mga balita gikan sa sinaligang mga tinubdagan. Balitang hinimo sa lawak balitaanan. Diin inyong madungog ang mga balitang lokal, regional, national o international o uban pang may kalabutan sa atong kadaliman. Gihatod kaninyo live gikan sa RPN DXKD Radio Ronda Broadcast Center. DXKD Ronda Balita. Inyong madungog matag adlang Lunes hangtod Biyernes alas 12 hangtod sa alas 2 sa kahaponon ug makita usab sa RPN DXKD Dipolog Facebook page, YouTube ug sa Twitter. DXKD Ronda Balita.
RPN Dex Kini Radio Ronda 1053 kHz.
The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. We now go up close and personal with former Senator Antonio Trillanes. Senator, I want to go back to the first time you won as senators. Isn't that right? It was in 2007. You were being detained, hindi ho ba, at that time?
Yes. So, I remember that.
Opo.
in-interview niyo ako sa loob ng kulungan.
I did interview you inside doon po while you were being detained back then, and tumakbo po kayong senador, nanalo kayo 2007, I believe hanggang 2013, and then 2013 tumakbo po kayo ulit and you won another 6-year term. Looking back at those 12 years you had as senator, what would you be most proud of in terms of legislative work?
Okay, when we started out in 2007, we set out on a mission na yung mga advocacy namin sa military noon, to modernize the AFP at yung mga AFP benefits, yung benefits for the uniform personnel, yun yung mga tinulak namin, pinangako namin, and we were able to do that. I was the principal author of the AFP modernization law, na ito ngayon, up to now, napapakinabangan ng ating sandatahang lakas. And at the same time, yung pag-increase ng kanilang subsistence allowance na ganun din, napapakinabangan ng sundalo. And we expanded this pati sa mga government employees na yung Salary Standardization Law 3 na napalaki yung sweldo ng government employees significantly, kasama na din yung teachers, nurses, at sundalo police, and pati mga pensioners ng AFP-PNP, tumaas din yung pension nila. So, ito yung mga pinangako namin at nagawa namin. So, yun yung something that we're very proud of. But then, when I was in the Senate na, eventually, lumawak na yung advocacy. Iba't ibang sangay na ng gobyerno yung naaabot natin, pati yung ordinaryong mga mamayan. So we expanded the advocacy na dun sa anti-poverty at youth development. So yan yung mga tututukan pa natin, hopefully, kung makabalik po tayo.
Okay, uphill battle, do you consider this an uphill battle for you? Kilala po kayo, you are very critical of the president. You have been in the Senate for 12 years, but if we look back, sir, at 2019, wala po kasi sa Ocho Diretso, which was the opposition na nanalo. Do you think the climate this time around is different from when it was in 2019?
I believe so. Ramdam natin yan. That is palpable. Talaga nakita na nila yung na talagang palpak si Duterte, nakurap si Duterte, at marami nang nadala. And hopefully, they're looking forward sa 2022 na i-rectify yung pagkakamali na yun by picking the right candidates. But we are assuming this to be an uphill climb. Kasi nga, talagang dinimonize kami nung the past 5 years nung propaganda machinery ni Duterte. That's what they're good at. But we're also expecting na greatly diminished na yung impact or effectiveness ng mga troll farms, ng mga fake news, kasi mulat na yung mga tao, and we'll see ngayon kung ano ang mangyari. But nakita nyo naman, even dun sa Senate slate ni Duterte, wala nang re-electionist na gustong sumama sa kanya. And that's an indicator of the pulse of the people. Kasi normally, yung mga traditional politicians would flock doon kung sino yung llamado or matunog sa masa, sa electorate. Pero walang ganun nangyayari.
Hindi ba si Senator J.V. Ejercito will also be, from what I read, be part or adopted or will be a guest candidate also of the PDP Laban Cruzi wing? Parang marami kasi ako nakikita na possibly re-election senators na ma-adapt ng iba't ibang partido. What does that say?
That's precisely what I'm saying. It's an indicator na nawala na sa kanila yung asim, ika nga, nawala na yung sigla na dumikit sila kay Duterte. They see Duterte at some point na magiging kiss of death yan down the line towards the end of the campaign. Ganun yun. slowly na unmask na siya. Word is getting around sa ating mga kababayan, and irreversible na po yan.
Okay. Things that I want to find out from you should you win. What would be your priority bills? You've been out for 3 years looking in, ano? I'm sure you're very much aware of what's been happening in the Senate investigations and all that. 2 things. If you win, which committee would you like to head in the event that you are given the chance to choose? Ano po? And siguro, pangalawa, ano ang magiging priority bill ninyo?
Should I make it in the Senate at pagtiwalaan ulit tayo ng mga kababayan natin, I would want to head the Blue Ribbon Committee, no? Para talagang makita natin yung extent ng corruption at yung iba't ibang anomalies na nangyari nitong Duterte administration. Kasi naging naging part ng pagko-cover up yung Blue Ribbon Committee ngayon. At although belatedly, naghahabol sila, but ang daming mga anomalies at mga krimen na nangyari the first 5 years na hindi naungkat. So kailangan natin ilabas yon. So Blue Ribbon Committee ang ating ihahangad kung sakali tayo ay Now, as to priority legislation, kasi ang mangyari nito, the legislation or the legislative branch rather, would be in support of the economic program of the, let's assume, the Leni Robredo administration. So lahat ng kanilang priority legislation as regards the economic front, paano tayo makarecover from the COVID situation, assuming malagpasan na natin yung, yung pandemic. Kasi kung hindi pa, again, the Senate should be in support of the initiatives of the Robredo administration in that regard. So primarily support siya. But then pagka nag-die down na yung mga ganyang initiatives, di pwede na namin slowly balikan yung aming mga pet advocacies. In my case, yung security sector reform at yung mga good governance initiatives, yung mga anti-corruption initiatives, yung security sector reform, yung for example, yung sa AFP, kailangan natin yung mga accountability components niyan, pati sa PNP, kasi kailangan ma-reform at ma-reorient ulit. And at the same time, yung incentives po, then it's high time na itaas na ulit yung subsistence allowance nila and yung combat pay for the ground troops. Hindi yan natatapos pa. So, yan yung isa sa mga babalikan natin.
What about the NTF-LCAC budget? Is that something you would support na bigyan pa po sila ng budget o hindi na?
Yung ano po? Ano po yan?
Senator, the NTF-LCAC budget?
I would be pushing for the abolition of the NTF-LCAC. Kasi I believe hindi yun yung paraan para manalo tayo dito sa insurgency. Kasi nung panahon ni Pinoy, yun na yung lowest in terms of numbers of insurgents, ng CPP-NPA, ang baba nila. At hindi niya kailangan magkaroon itong NTF-LCAC at mga draconian measures. Ang ginawa lang nila, effective intelligence work. And dyan, sila General Ano, sila yung nanghuli ng mga top commanders ng NPA noon at na-decimate yung kanilang leadership. So good intelligence work, yan yung magko-complement dun sa ground operations, yung effectiveness ng ground operations. Mag-focus lang sa combats at mananalo ang ating gobyerno laban sa mga komunistang rebelde.
As a last question, Senator, I'm assuming, because I only have 1 minute left, that kapag the administration, Vice President Leni Robredo wins, they will be open to cooperate with the ICC investigators. So I want to go on the flip side. What happens should you win a Senate seat, but hindi po kaalyado niyo yung manalo presidente, and the president, siguro, let's just say, is cold?